I'm terrified.
And you're also live.
And I'm live. Welcome to Craig Reed's Christian Response Channel official broadcast. Today we have on the famous Christian apologist. You know her as the Christian apologist. And we are doing our first official broadcast of the channel. We're going to interview 5-10 minutes. Took us 2.5 hours to get here, but we're here. So, Stephanie, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. How did you think it went with Cy on your, that was your first interview you had with Cy, correct? What'd you do that for, an hour?
Do you mean Cy 10 Brugengate?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, tell me about
I
that.
thought it went pretty nice. He's a Calvinist, and he told me before we got on that he has much different opinions than I do in Christianity. He said we differ in 90% of our views, and so I said, well, let's focus on what we agree on. So we focused on the 10%.
Right. I was actually going to do a video on his Calvinist thing. That was the thing I was going to ask you about. So he's a very hardcore Calvinist. Do you remember his? He did an analogy with you about the guys in the boat. Do you remember it?
No. What is it? I don't remember it.
Okay. Most people's standard Christianity, probably yours and mine, is that if Jesus is the life preserver, people are drowning in the ocean, and Jesus throws out a lifeline, and some people take the lifeline, become Christians, and some people do not, but they're making a choice. That's how most people perceive it, right? That's kind of how you perceive it?
Yeah, that
yes
seems
or no?
fair. That seems fair.
Okay, his analogy was totally different. He used that analogy and said, no, that's not what's actually happening. Everyone's dead at the bottom of the ocean. Everyone's completely dead. And there's no life in any of us whatsoever. We're all dead in our sins at the bottom of the ocean. And Jesus comes down and picks some people up off the bottom of the ocean floor and saves them and leaves some people there. That's hardcore Calvinism. And he's correct in his interpretation. Do you understand the big difference he's making? Because that was the analogy he used on your show. Now, what do you make of that? How do you perceive that? Because I was going to do a whole show about it.
The Calvinists have the view that everything's predetermined. So all of our actions have already been predetermined by God. So there's nothing that people can do on this earth to get closer to Jesus. But I believe that in God's mercy, there is something we can do. We were put on this earth, and if we reach out to God and we honestly ask him, then we end up going to God. And God only knows that because he's concurrently in our past, present, future. Like he knows, it's not that he's predetermining our actions. He just has already seen our actions. And he has mercy. He extends mercy on those who trust and who have faith in him.
Right. But I mean, how he's describing it was it's a totally, I was gonna do a video on it because his interpretation is actually what hardcore Calvinism is. His type of Calvinism is a little bit more intense than most people's. But the upside of Calvinism, what they say, is that it's logically consistent and theologically sound from beginning, middle to end. But the human problem with Calvinism, as he described it, is, according to him, God is making just choices on who to save and who not to save, having almost nothing to do with the individual, and the individual human being. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do see what you're saying, and that's what I don't agree with. And I think he's hardcore, and so is that person who's on Twitter who calls himself Reformed Christian Apologist. I know you've seen him.
Yes. He used to be the Christian anarchist. He had a live stream last night, and I think I sat in on like 5 minutes of it. Now, what's his deal? What was he saying? I saw him debate with you a little bit. He's even called you out. He has a video or two out about you, I don't know if you saw it.
I did. I watched it. You know how many atheists have come out with videos on me? It's so ridiculous. But I know.
Well, you should have fun with it.
Them. Well, it's because they go and they look at my channel, and I say something that they think, like I said something about atheists who deconverted. And then so a few of them, like deconverted man, have to speak up. And then I said, I had 11 reasons why questions that atheists can't answer. And then when you get someone like Aaron Ra who responds, and all of a sudden,
right,
hundreds of atheists.
He had a whole video out about, was it you?
Yes, it was my video.
No, you never debated.
He mirrored my video. No, I never debated him, but he found my video that said 11 questions atheists can't answer, and so then he attempted to answer them. And so I have to admit, some of his answers were relatively decent, but there were a couple that I thought, there's no way, that's not even a good answer at all. So I wrote a blog and I posted a video on why two of his answers were lame.
Right.
So no, I haven't. I listened to Reformed Christian Apologists. He actually wrote. He did a video with Emery about me and Emery Thrash, person on Twitter calling himself or herself Emery Thrash.
Do not know them. I don't think I know who that is, actually.
Yeah, he's a hardcore determinist, and so he posted a bunch of, in this video, he actually found some Bible quotes that he thinks support his idea that God predetermines our lives, and so I think God knows of our lives. I think that he has determined our paths, but we still are involved here pretty heavily. I mean, we have
well, are you talking about Reformed Christian guy right now, or just
yes?
Okay, yes, I saw where he did that. I saw where he did. He posted some scriptures and said, "How do you Christians who believe in free will? How do you reconcile these?" And the problem is, there are also hundreds of scriptures that back up the idea of free will. So you can throw out 4 or 5 scriptures and say, "How do you reconcile this?" But then you got to look at scriptures that say, like, "I lay before you this day, blessing and cursing. Choose life." That's pretty crystal clear. God can know the end from the beginning, and it doesn't mean that he has pre-ordered all of your steps. I mean, it's completely illogical in the sense of, like, obviously you make choices, and obviously some of those choices are not exactly God's perfect will for your life, or you wouldn't be sinning, period, ever. Correct?
I agree. I totally agree.
Well, but they're not really thinking it. What's that?
I just found your video that's on my cell phone. I'm looking at this video that we're doing right now. Do you want me to advertise this on Twitter?
Which one is it?
The one where you and I are talking right now.
Oh, you mean post it so we actually get an audience instead of just talk to ourselves? Yeah, for a bit. We'll do it for like 10 minutes. We should start talking about. We got to move on to what's her face. What I see last night. What I tell you I saw last night. Do you remember? Oh, Mamma Mia 2. Did you see the first one?
Oh yeah, no. How was that?
It's what you'd expect. I mean, it's kind of terrible, but it's fun. It's fun in a terrible sort of lighthearted, fluffy, irrelevant way. It's a piece of candy. We had fun with it. If you like the first one, you'll like it. You'll love it. Cher's in it.
Oh yeah, I love Cher. Okay, wait, what does this do now? Hold on, I just had it. I'm just having technological issues here. Somebody gave you a like here, Craig.
Who gave me a like? Like this video already?
Yes.
Awesome. Who's in the chat? Anybody in the chat?
I've got to go. I'm going to try to get to the link on my in another thing on my join us in the live chat. So hold on one second. I'm just typing this in chat. Okay, so, and it's called Kill Me.
Yes, because there were like 50 false starts. So finally, I just decided that I was either going to broadcast or kill myself. Those were my only 2 options. Those were the only 2 options, I'm afraid, Stephanie.
Yes, well, your broadcast. Now we just have to figure out how to broadcast so you can do it without the middleman.
Okay, well, I think if we get a tech savvy person in the chat, they'll probably be able to back this up. But there's 2 possibilities. You are signed in as me, and you're on a laptop. So all I have to do really is find a laptop. right?
Yeah.
So if I go to the library, which isn't far, it's like a 10-minute walk, I could take my phone with me and sign in on the laptop there and start the broadcast and probably continue the broadcast with just my phone. Walk away with the phone, turn the thing off. Or no.
Yeah, I think you could do that, but I think you have to go back to it, and once you're done with the broadcast, I think you're going to have to go back.
Oh, and turn off and actually go to the channel unless I put an end. What happens if you schedule an ending to your chat?
Now there's a clever idea. Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, see, that'll probably work. I might have to go back and turn off the thing or just schedule an ending, but that will definitely work in terms of getting me on air, probably, right?
Right.
The other option is I'm trying to set it up. I don't have Twitter hooked up to my tablet, but I'm installing it as we speak. So the other possibility is that my tablet, I might be able to broadcast from my tablet. So I think those people who were telling me you can't do it with you can't do it from your phone were correct.
Yeah, I see. You know who's on here? I'm actually right now. I'm on. I just answered him with since I'm in your account. But Cyrus is on here and Charlie Adams. So, but Cyrus looks like he might still be watching. Cyrus, are you still watching?
Cyrus the Skeptic is watching my channel. Awesome.
Yeah.
Hello, Cyrus. Welcome to my first broadcast. Took us 2.5 hours to get to a 5-minute conversation about Calvinism.
Yeah, Calvinism. And they have this thing, the tulip in Calvinism, and I disagree with pretty much all of it. I mean, it's
yeah, the tulip. I was reading that. What is it? It's like the T is. Oh,
I forget right now. I'm gonna have to go back and see what the acronym stands for. But I just remember going down it and thinking I don't agree with these. But it's one of those things where one day we'll all find out. So.
P is perseverance of the saints. I is. There's like total depravity is T.
Yeah, total depravity.
Total depravity is a weird concept too. Yeah, because if it depends on how hardcore of a Calvinist you are, and Cy seems to be about as Calvinist as could ever have Calvinistic. He seems to be like totally and completely. He's doing a show with our friend, by the way.
Is he going to get on Steve's? Because I saw that.
No, Shannon.
Oh, he's going on Shannon's channel. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Monday night.
Good.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Shannon wanted to talk to him. So, yeah, that's good. And I think Steve's trying to get him on too, Steve McRae.
We'll get Steve McRae on this channel at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe even Cyrus. Get Cyrus on here.
Get Shannon back on too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what would be fun to have on? It would be fun to talk to Shannon and Paula Gia.
At the same time, it'd be weird. Did you listen to the live stream the other day? I showed up right at the end.
Yes, I did listen to it. Someone gave her $200. Did you know that?
No, people are going to give me money now. Is that how this works? Somebody give me money. What do I have to offer them? I'll answer your question. Give me $200. I'll answer any question you want.
She's sitting on a thing, and all of a sudden she announces that somebody gave her $200. I thought, holy cow! I mean, I could see someone giving $1 or $2, but $200.
Yeah, that's freaking crazy.
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome, though. I noticed that. Right? I was watching a live chat with the Needle Drop guy. He's like he's pretty cool. He reviews records on YouTube, and he's pretty popular, actually, really popular in terms of YouTubers. But I was watching as he was broadcasting, $10 here, $10 there. He had it set up that if you pay, I guess, $10 or $15, you get this like red. It shows up in big red letters, and he answers your question. But I'm sitting there watching for like 5 minutes, and $85 go by. I'm like, yeah, this is cool.
Well, these guys are doing this. I mean, and I was telling my students this, and I didn't tell them about atheist channels or that stuff, but I told them, I said, if you have some specialization or you've got some special knowledge about something, or you're unique in some way or background or anything, start a YouTube channel, and you could actually, that could end up being your source of income.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of these people do really well. Even some of the atheists are starting to monetize in ways that are
Yeah.
going to bear fruit once they start getting because their channels are growing. Once they start getting the big numbers, they'll start actually making a decent amount of money.
Well, that's the thing. Like this morning, I listened to a couple of people. I listened to Matt Winger. I love his channel. I mentioned that on Twitter, and also Stefan Molyneux. And I listened to some of his stuff too. I listened to his take on climate change and his take on Plato and his take on Karl Marx. I mean, he's fascinating. And he said in one of the videos that I think this is what he does for a full-time job. He just makes videos.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jordan Peterson is actually rich off of his YouTube footprint, his social media footprint. He stopped publishing his what's it called? Patreon? Is that what it is? Where you get the donations? He stopped publishing it because it had broken something like $200,000 a year or something. It was making him look bad because he made almost $500,000 off of people donating to his channel.
Gosh, it's incredible.
I was trying to get
he's
my
another one.
wife.
I love listening to Jordan Peterson. He's got such a deep take on things.
Yeah, he's cool. He's definitely cool. Atheists are mixed on him. Some atheists, originally why I latched onto him was because I thought a lot of atheists would like him. And some do because he's more cerebral and scientific in his approach. But he's starting to engender a backlash too. There's a lot of criticism. Drew actually has a video out this morning I haven't watched yet. Genetically Modified Skeptic about Jordan Peterson. I think critical, but I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's kind of clever to do videos on Jordan Peterson because they get a lot of attention. Didn't you do one on Jordan Peterson?
Yes, and I thought nobody. Most of my videos, I assume that they're going to get less than 20 views, so I was making them accordingly. Not really thinking about them all that much. Just like, oh, here's a Jordan Peterson, Matt Dillahunty. Here's my take on it. I'd bang it out in like 7 minutes, exactly how long the video was. I just recorded it to the phone, hit send, and then all of a sudden it had 5,000 views, and Matt Dillahunty himself was commenting. And I was like, well, wait a minute.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he showed up.
Did you see when Matt Dillahunty sent me a tweet and invited me to go to one of their conferences?
No. Why didn't you go? When was this?
No, it was hilarious. He said I was talking to Jen with one N. Or was I talking to Jen? Yeah, there was an interaction between me and Jen with one N, and she said something about Matt Dillahunty, and then so he was tagged in, so he got into the conversation, and he said that he would send. I think he said something like he'd send me money to go to watch this atheist conference or to go to the atheist conference. Can you imagine me at an atheist conference?
I think you'd be great. You'd probably get like chased out of the place with pitchforks, but you'd be fine for a while until you started your talking points. Then you'd be like chased out of the place.
I like the idea with pitchforks.
Yeah, then they probably like, I don't know. I don't even know what they do to you. Can't even imagine.
I can imagine. What if I got up on a stage and started talking about what I believe? I start throwing tomatoes at me.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Really
oh my God. They would freak out because you seem to touch a soft spot in their hate. You seem to like really, really get to like, once you start talking, you seem to just get them going. And start to like really, really dislike you. Like, I can't believe she's saying that. You gotta get her out of here.
It is funny. I don't even. Well, I do. You know what? I have to admit, sometimes I do videos that I know I'm going to get a response. Like when I did the video. Anytime you do, like you said, it's clickbait. I mean, I wrote the video on is atheism a religion?
Oh yeah, that's definitely clickbait for atheists.
And
anything along those lines.
I sent a tweet out and I did a poll: is atheism a religion? And it had something like 900 votes. I mean, I was impressed because usually my polls have like 20 votes or 50 votes or something. This one had like 900 votes. No, it's not a religion.
Right, and you get even like the cool atheists get all triggered. Like I can't. Even Shannon was like, "No, it's not a religion." So I don't know. There's certain little I'm not even sure what they are, but there's certain little things that just tend to bug them more than other things. Certain subjects or certain takes.
I don't know
I
why
guess
religion would bug them so much, though. I mean, because that's the
well,
thing.
probably.
You get benefits by being classified under Title VII under the religion category.
Right, but they're probably hearing it in context of. They're probably hearing in context of these constant debates that we have, these back and forth. So 5,000 Christians used it to beat them over the head with, it takes more faith to be an atheist than it does to be a Christian or something like that. I don't know. They're hearing it different than how you're presenting it based on their experience. It's just like, what's a one that drives you crazy? There's got to be like, I can't think. What's one of the ones that used to, if anybody said it, I'd be like, oh God, just shut your freaking mouth. You know, something like, yeah, like if an atheist says a certain type of thing, even if it's
I'll tell you what drives me crazy. I say I had a spiritual experience, and they come back with, you had sleep paralysis. I'm like, I wasn't even sleeping. I mean, if you actually listen to my story, I was not sleeping. So I mean, so it's not sleep paralysis. So that kind of thing drives me crazy. So.
Right, but that's more specific. That's more you specific, because that's like a Stephanie standard story.
But I'm talking about us. The ones that say, you know, we don't have free will, or they can't reconcile free will with God's omnipotence. That drives me crazy. Or of the 3,000 gods, why did we choose the one we chose?
Right. Okay. So that one kind of drives me crazy a little too. Now that one, for example, so that's how atheists are hearing some of the atheists as a religion thing. They've heard it like 6,000 times that week. You know, that's why. They've heard it like 7,000 times in 7,000 different places. And then they hear from you and that's it. They're like, I'm going to kill myself. They're going to kill themselves, just like I was going to kill myself this morning when I was trying to get this.
Well, at least we figured out how you can do this. So you can go to the library. Yeah, I mean, this is great.
We're good. And Godless Cranium is going to be on my show. He said it's going to be one of my first victims, guests, my first guest.
Do you know I'm going on Godless Cranium show on, they changed the date now. It's going to be September 8th. I'm going to go talk to Richard Carrier about objective morality.
Richard Carrier's the mythicist guy, isn't he?
Yeah. I'm going to go talk to him. Finally, I'll talk to this person.
I'll check that out. That should be fun.
Yeah.
I was going to tell you my, we were talking about originally YouTube, people developing careers out of social media. My nephew, I've been telling my nephew is his parents, my wife's sister. She's like Mrs. Like, they're like the biggest hippie couple on the planet. He's a record producer and she was she's just like Mrs. Left Wing Birkenstock, you know. She's really smart actually. She went to Harvard, but she's and her son now is like Mr. not necessarily alt-right, but he's getting totally caught up. He's going to join the Marines and he's totally caught up in this like not necessarily Alex Jones, but there's people around him that you might have heard of. Eve knows them. Eve posts a lot of their stuff. Paul Thomas Anderson, I think his name is. Does that name ring a bell?
No, I'm not familiar with him.
Well, they're all like social media people. And then he's getting all into it now. He's got this whole take on reality that's totally like, you know, the globalist conspiracy, things like that. I'm like, you know, tell him to start Twitter feeds, tell him to get a YouTube channel going. He's all like, he's not a. Did you hear that?
No, what was it?
It was a message from my wife. I was wondering if it broadcast. It didn't.
No, I think that's it's so interesting. I mean, it's such a new thing right now with being able to go on YouTube and make money that way. It's
well, that's why I told her to get him going. He's like 20.
That reminds me, you know, that you asked about things that atheists, the one assumption too is that people, you know, the whole idea with young earth creationists and the assumption that there's two things. One is that they assume that we're young earth creationists, or they assume that we're misinterpreting the Bible if we don't interpret it the way that young earth creationists do. That I don't like. And another thing I don't like is what was the other thing? I'm trying to remember now. But that's a big one because I think that's not fair. You can't or they point to point to different quotes in the Bible and say, like one guy said, oh, well, with the Midianites, these soldiers were given the rights to rape. And quite clearly it says in the Bible from God that rapists should be killed. You know, it's a capital punishment for rape. And so that did not mean that the soldiers were given the, ability to rape these women. So it's like that kind of thing I don't like when I see that.
Yeah.
What do you think about flat earthers? Because I kind of feel like they can't, I mean, to me, I don't think you can be, if you're living in a cave or something, but how could you possibly think that the entire world is colluding?
That's why it gets so whacked, because you'd have to think that, I mean, I was watching this one little, there's this guy, Bible Flockbox, and he's kind of like, he's sort of a crackpot Christian, but his channel's pretty popular. The non sequitur guys have done takes on him. I like him. He's entertaining, but he was doing a flat earth, how you know flat earth is false. And he did like 9 things. They're just, I mean, it's so obvious. You see pictures from airplanes and you can see the curve of the globe. You can see with your own eyes how they justify like crazy trained beliefs. I have no idea, because you'd have to think that it's way more involved in terms of how much you'd be being scammed by the scientific community. Black would have to be white completely. They'd have to be lying to you about almost everything you do. What happens when a plane flies? I mean,
yeah.
Do you think that they all know that the earth is flat and they've been pretending for, 80 years? I can't even imagine. There are satellites that film the earth, and they think that those pictures are fake.
Well, you can go to YouTube and actually watch it live. You can watch NASA live filming the earth from satellites.
Right. How do they justify that? They say it's fake or something, that somebody scammed that somebody's misleading you. How can somebody be misleading that intensely? That's what I mean. You'd have to be somebody.
It's not just even one country. It's all of the countries of the world.
Yeah.
It's like we're all
conspiring together just to fool you, just to fool you personally. What kind of like upside down world would you be living in? I as a rule, conspiracy theorists, there's only 1 or 2 that I find even remotely plausible. As a rule, I think they're mostly crazy. I'm not really sure what the payoff is, though. That's more interesting than the conspiracy. Like, why? What do you get out of believing that, the 9/11 was faked, that George Bush helped bring down the towers by putting stuff inside the building? That's one, isn't it?
That's what you wonder. Why do they think that way? And the reason I even brought this up is because I'm thinking of it's to be so extreme on something could give people they might be bringing attention to their own YouTube channels, and maybe they're making money off the position. Because you can't, I don't think you can honestly do it, actually think that way, unless you're sort of, I mean, you almost have to think there's a mental issue going on if you truly believe the world's flat and the entire world, that Russia, United States were colluding to fool everybody.
to fool everybody with pictures of, of the globe seasons, from outer space.
I mean, there are things like the seasons, the ocean tides. I mean, there's so many reasons to believe that Earth is a globe. It's crazy.
Well, I actually have a friend out in Pasadena who has a flat Earth friend. He's never really explained I mean, he gets a kick out of him. The guy's just kind of, generally nutty. That's a given, but I've never really delved into the mechanics of how he believes what he believes or how far into it he is. The only conspiracy theory that holds water is the Kennedy assassination.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what happened, but something is up, especially because Bobby Kennedy gets shot, years later. Something is way off about that, or something weird happened. It was definitely. Yeah. It definitely seems to me that it was not just Lee Harvey Oswald, but that's the only one I think that has any sort of, and I don't know what the conspiracy is. I know what the different theories are, but
Well, I've heard theories like the mafia was involved. And
which is plausible.
Kennedy was going to take out the mafia. He had a sort of a plan to take them out. He had certain people he was targeting, and that's one thing that I think is completely plausible.
Right. CIA being involved is also plausible. Why they would be involved, I don't know, but there's a bunch of theories that at least there's something suspicious there. 9/11, I don't even see how people could possibly believe that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, 9/11, I mean, that's pretty much, I mean, bin Laden, we all saw exactly what happened with that. And so, and he did the same thing, what was it, 1983? He did something in the World Trade Center as well, bin Laden. So that was a pretty good exercise with SEAL Team 6. I'm trying to
I actually worked in the World Trade Center when there was the first bomb scare. I wasn't 83 though. There was one in like the early,
unless it's 90.
Well, there was one in the early 90s.
Maybe it was
and I was working there at the time. And I remember we were evacuated because there was my dad had he had an office actually in the World Trade Center. Not by the time he had long since vacated it by the time the towers went down, but at one point he had an office there. And I was there at the first time there was an evacuation in the World Trade Center. I was actually on the ground in the evacuation, and I don't remember the details of it, but it was sometime in like 91 or 92.
Yeah, it says right here. It said when I just typed it into my phone, it says there's a World Trade Center bombing in 1993. And then there was some sort of attack in 91. You know, I was at the World Trade Center probably about 4 months before 9/11 for the very first time. I went to visit, my sister lived in New York, and I went to visit my at the time, my husband now, but he was my boyfriend then, and we went to visit my sister, and we went to the top floor. There was a restaurant. It was really nice.
Wait, where'd you go? Yeah, Windows on the World.
Windows of the World. Yeah, Windows of the World. So that.
Wait, where'd you go in New York? Who lived where?
My sister used to live in for a while there. She lived in one of the Trump Towers.
Oh, so, cool.
Yeah, she lived there, and she lives in New Jersey a little bit. She moved around up there for a bit, and now she moved back down here, and now she's up in Michigan. So she's mover and shaker.
Oh wow, she moves around a lot. Well, both my sisters actually live in Manhattan. One on the Upper West Side, the other lives on the Upper East Side.
Yeah, I forget exactly where Jen was.
Where did you go when you were in New York?
Oh, it was so long ago, but we kind of went. I know we went to the World Trade Center.
Did you like it?
Yeah, and she just took us. I remember we walked up and down the streets, and like we would pop into different bars. We went all over the place. We were eating and drinking and having a good time, so it was fun.
Yeah, New York is awesome. I haven't been back there in years.
I haven't either. Since down here, I haven't. But my brother-in-law, my husband's oldest brother, lives there, so we do have reason to go up there. He lives in Queens.
Okay. Yeah, all my family still lives there. I grew up right outside of New York City, in a town called Hastings, which is right out. It's about 20 minutes outside New York City by train. But both my sisters live in Manhattan now, and almost all the rest of my family still lives in that area.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, because you do have a little bit of a New York accent.
A lot of it.
You don't
Most people say a lot of it.
You don't
Forget about it. Forget it. Yo, Joey, that's a great freaking movie. Did you see Rocky, man? Forget about it. It's a great freaking movie. No, that could happen in real life. Someone could be doing that. No, come on, man.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. Forget about it. Hey, Mooch. Sal, how come you ain't got no brothers on the walls? Hey, Sal, how come you ain't got... All right, there's my New York. That's my New York for today.
Oh,
yeah, a lot of people say that I have New York. What we got?
I'm looking at my Twitter account, and I can see Richard Carrier sent me a tweet with his blog spot. I don't know why I find that so funny. He wrote. Remember how he wrote a rebuttal? Somebody paid him to write a rebuttal on one of my blogs.
I did not know. How much did they pay him? I'll write a rebuttal on one of the blogs. How much? to ask him how much, I'll write one. Be like, yeah, Stephanie sucks. Give me $100.
Stephanie's blog is terrible. That was about the quality of Richard's rebuttal. So he wrote that, and then I wrote that the guy should ask for his money back because it was so bad. And so
Yeah,
ever since then, he keeps posting these. Then he wrote another rebuttal to my rebuttal to his blog. So I wrote a rebuttal, his rebuttal of my first blog, and then he wrote a rebuttal on that. So he just tweeted me on his rebuttal, that second rebuttal that he wrote. And he said, at one point, he said, how come I haven't linked his rebuttals in my blog? I'm like, do I have to? So funny.
I would do it, Stephanie. If somebody offered me money, I would do it.
It's the worst blog I've ever seen. So, yeah,
was it really?
Yeah, no. He wrote a rebuttal. His rebuttal of mine basically was just calling me a liar and things like that. He didn't really have any content in the rebuttal, so it was one of those kind of rebuttals. But maybe we'll have to see. Anyway, it should be an interesting conversation that I have with him on September 8th.
Yeah, that'll be fun. It's Godless Cranium and Shannon are going to be doing the.
They're going to be there
broadcasting the show, right? Well, it's on his channel, right?
Right. Yeah. If you want to join, I'd like to have someone else go on there with me because it is 3 atheists and 1 me. So it'd be cool.
Yeah, if they wanted to, I'm always good to go on their channel. I like those guys.
Oh, cool. Yeah. No, that'd be great because then we could, kind of have a team and have 2 of us speaking instead of just one in case they ask questions that one of us has better answers to than the other one or something like that. So.
Yeah, it's up to them. If they want me to, I'll do it. I'm going to get him on. He said he'd come on this. Now that I know that I can broadcast, so I'm good, right? I just might have to go to the library if I want to start it on my own.
Yeah, do that and just time the ending so that you can hang out at your house.
Yeah, or go back and turn it off when it's over or something like that.
Yeah, no, I think you can time it. I mean, that's just in the YouTube thing. You could time it. You start it now and then just put it down for like an hour or 2 or something like that.
It's entirely possible that when I get my tablet set up, that the tablet will work because I wasn't using it properly. And I might be able to do it. I might be able to do it from the tablet. It was straightforward, right? When you clicked on with your laptop, it was really, really obvious. It just was a button that said start live broadcast.
It was so much different than the phone. It didn't work at all on the phone. We didn't have the option to start broadcast.
Yeah, then that's the problem. Then you can't start a live broadcast from your phone. So I'm just gonna have to circumvent the problem.
You'd be able to do it with a tablet, but I have a couple of old tablets, and I bet you I couldn't do it on those.
This one's pretty old at this point.
Yeah, that's because I tried to do a couple things at one point on my tablet, and it wasn't because my tablet's so old. It's not even really that old. I think it's 5 years old, but it seems like everything gets outdated kind of quickly.
Yeah, I'll probably get another one. They're only you can get really cheap tablets nowadays. I was looking I couldn't believe how cheap they'd become.
Yeah, like $89, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
which is
I bought tablets for my kids a while back, and they were cheap. I mean, and my kids, now they've got pretty nice computers. They love their computers. It's like we have all this wasted electronics. It's so sad. These little DS machines and all these things that we bought them over the years are just sort of wasted. Crazy.
Why? Because they get the newest, coolest one, and then they don't care about the old one? Is that?
Yeah,
is
they
that
don't
what's
go
going
back.
down?
They haven't played with anything.
Wow.
So they've got toy boxes full of stuff that is just. I have to figure out how to, sell it. I have to figure out how to at least try to, recoup some money from it. So
eBay, put it on eBay.
Yeah, maybe I should. I always get afraid.
If you got laptops and tablets, send them to me. I'll use them. I
do have laptops. I do, and I have tablets too. So yeah, we could talk about that. I'll get your address and because the thing is, I would try. The one reason I haven't done that is because you have to actually clear out the content in the laptop before you send it, and I have to figure out exactly how to do that. So, just
clear out the.
So it starts off fresh, so you don't have a bunch of junk that someone else, someone else's letters or whatever people are putting in their laptops. My sons would have a bunch of silly applications that probably would want to clear out.
But most of the other stuff, I bet you could sell on eBay pretty easily, and they have mini eBays now too, where you can. I'm sure they have one right in your area where, what's it called around here? It's called like Connect 5 or something, and it's like. It's a little app where people are posting stuff that is somewhere in the Malibu area for sale. So if I posted like, if I wanted to sell my guitar, I could post on there for like $50 and someone would come by that apartment and buy it. So you could do that easily if you've got good stuff.
Yeah, we do. We do. I'll have to.
You could probably easily make whatever $500 without even thinking about it.
Well, we have the other thing is in our neighborhood actually has one of those kind of things, like a little marketplace in our neighborhood where people sell stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure they have an app for it too, where you could just take a picture of something and put it online. Somebody in the where you live in Florida, right? Somewhere in the county you live in would come by and buy it, especially if it's decent stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, eBay probably works too. I get the feeling that eBay is more elaborate and complicated, and I think you have to ship it yourself. Don't know. I don't know how. So. I've always thought of the idea of trying to make extra money on eBay, because it seemed like it's a good idea, but I never actually looked into it.
Yeah, I'll have to look into something like that. We also have neighborhood garage sales twice a year, so that could be another. I might just dump them all at that because. We have one coming up in September. Just come out there with my wares and stuff. I usually just go around the garage sale. I usually don't sell, but this time I think maybe we will sell. So.
Yeah, I've always been meaning to go around the garage sales around here because I figure they'd be really lucrative.
Oh, I used to go when my kids were little. I used to go and buy kids' clothes from the neighbors. And then my kids, they got a little older and they figured that out. They don't want to wear other people's clothes. It was so cheap, and with kids' clothes, they grow out of it so fast that you could have really nice, there's some pretty nice outfits I was buying, and then they bought me.
There was this girl I met when I used to work at the Malibu Radio Shack, and there was this girl, this kind of funky girl. How I met her was she was wearing this T-shirt that said Iron Maidens, plural. And I was like, Iron Maidens, what's that? She's like, it's an all-girl Iron Maiden cover group. And I was like, okay, this girl's pretty interesting. So she'd come in the store and I'd strike up conversations with her. And she had this thing in Malibu because there's people just don't care. There's certain type of people out here, not me, but, really, really will throw out whatever. And she would go around and check out the stuff that people were getting rid of. And she had this really lucrative like side business where she'd just find these cool things and she'd sell them on eBay. Like some of the stuff was actually valuable. Like the one thing she showed me was Bob Dylan signed photograph, actually signed by Bob Dylan. Yeah, somebody threw that out. That's what I mean. Like she'd find really weird stuff.
Do you ever watch that show where there's a couple of kind of cool shows, but one of them's Pawn Stars?
Pawn Stars, I love. I used to watch that all the time.
I love that too.
That's a brilliant show because they would actually. He's really sharp and he'd go really into the history of the item, and you'd actually learn an enormous amount about whatever. I saw one time where they had like a Albrecht Dürer print. And he starts rattling off information about Albrecht Dürer. I was like, what? You go. I don't. Maybe they prep them before the show, but because he seems to know an enormous amount of stuff.
I tried to go. I wanted to get in the pawn. I was in Vegas once. I was at a conference, and I drove over with my friends. We drove over to the pawn shop where they broadcast it, and there was a line wrapped around the building and like halfway down the street. So I didn't end up waiting in the line, but yeah, everybody wants to get in there.
Yeah, I'll bet there's a higher end version of that too called Antique Roadshow, I think. My wife watches it. It's very similar concept, but it's like a little bit more PBS, highbrow, but it's the same idea. People bring in these really weird items and they talk about them, and it was way more interesting. That. Yeah,
I like that show.
It's good. They're way more interesting than I thought they were. I got somehow I forget how I got into him. I think the guy who used to cut my hair told me about it. Originally, I was really like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I never watched the show, but I saw that they replaced all the shows on the History Channel with this show Pawn Stars, and I was like, God, what junk? What is it? I was like so opposed to it. But this guy cut my hair. The guy who was cutting my hair told me I had to check it out, and I trusted his
really
judgment.
Good.
So,
yeah, it's really good. I like that show. That's one of those good shows about that I like shows where you can watch it and you actually learn something. You walk away and you're, yeah, I didn't know about that yesterday.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. And that was like the best show about that, because you would learn something every single time you watched.
Do you see that show where there's two guys, and I forget what it's called, but there are two guys who drive in a van, and they usually drive around the middle of the country, and they stop at people's.
Yes.
That's a good show too.
Where they bid on the? Are you talking about the one where they bid on the? What are they? Personal storage.
Yeah, they'll show up. They've got a business going, and so they show up at people's houses, and usually the people are kind of like pack rats, but they have really cool things sometimes. And so old signs.
I'm not sure if that's the same one. There's one that okay. That's the one.
One's tall, one's short.
Yeah, there's a couple different versions of that. There are sort of offshoots of Pawn Stars, but there is one where they go and they bid on personal storage spaces. When you close up a personal storage, when you close up a personal storage space, sometimes people will just abandon them. So they would they would open the door to it, and you'd look in and you'd see what type of items were in there, and then they'd let the people bid on it without going in, checking any of the stuff. And they bid like, $700, and then they have all the stuff in the personal storage space. And then they go in and then actually see what they got. And there'd be some really cool like collector's items and stuff. That was one show. That was one variation. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, I like that show too. We watched that. That's a good show. And
American
every once
Pickers?
in a while, I think Pickers might be the one with the two guys who drive around in the van.
Okay.
But Storage Wars, is it called? I think it's
Storage Wars. Yes, that's the one. I used to watch that too. Good. Yes.
I like that. There's a lot of, some reality shows are stupid, Bachelorette and that kind of thing. I hate those shows, but some of them are really good. And those are examples of good ones.
Some of them are great. And the thing about them is that the reason why they're so there's more reality shows on TV today than there were TV shows in 1994. So there's more of them than there were just TV shows in general. But the reason is they're so easy to produce. They don't cost anything to put on air.
Yeah. Yeah, they're interesting.
And if they take off, you make a lot of money off of very little overhead.
I remember what the other thing was that I wanted to say as far as people's perceptions of Christians and the things that annoy me is people assume that because I'm a Christian that I voted for Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Do you get that?
Yeah, I don't get it, but I assume that they assume it. And,
some people have shown up and they accuse me of voting for Trump. Like they'll show up on my timeline and say, you're Trump,
absolutely.
Whatever. What do you, did I advertise I voted for him? Because I didn't vote for him,
Right. So. And they'll assume all manner of like ideologies and beliefs on you. They'll automatically ascribe them to you based on the fact that you're Christian. That used to happen a lot. But it's kind of playing the averages. I mean, it makes most of the Christians I know out here are Republicans. The Christians who I met as a Christian, almost all of them are Republicans. I'm the only one who isn't, actually.
Oh, my neighborhood. I'm like a little blue dot in a neighborhood of red. I mean, everybody. In fact, I had, when Obama's first round, I used to have signs out in my lawn, and all these people stopped talking to me.
Oh, yeah, but that went over
really. I lost friends because they found out I'm a Democrat. Like, what the hell?
Oh, I'll bet.
Who knows that? So yeah, no, I lost. Like, I used to get invited to, there's neighbors who live down the road who used to have these potlucks. They don't do it anymore, but they used to have, because unfortunately, there was a terrible death of a teenager in one of the families. But they used to have these potlucks, and I put this sign out, and suddenly I don't get invited to the potlucks anymore.
Yeah, I'm 100% sure that's how it works. But it's even worse. It's even worse now on the other end. Like almost all my Facebook friends from my past are hardcore liberals. Just about. There's a few who aren't. A few of the people who are like townies and stuff, they're kind of Trump supporters. But I've seen them say stuff like, if you're a Trump supporter, I don't want you as my Facebook friend. I don't want a racist xenophobe as my face, things like that. They're starting to get really, really like antagonistic on
towards
the Trumps.
I see, and I
towards the Trump
refuse
speech.
to post. I used to post political stuff every once in a while on Facebook. I barely post on Facebook at all anymore, but when I do, I definitely am not posting political stuff because people get very. I mean, you think religion is controversial? Holy cow! People go crazy over the political
Well,
stuff.
nowadays politics is 6,000 times more controversial. It's Trump. Trump triggers people. The people who don't like him hate him so much you can't even believe it. They always want to talk about how much they hate him and they can't stand. He doesn't bother me as anywhere near as much as I thought he would when he was running. But
yeah, well, I mean, I don't like a lot of his decisions. That's the problem. I really don't like a lot of the things that he does. But like, I especially didn't like what he did with the borders, where he's separating the parents from their children. I think that was egregious.
Yeah, well, I wasn't in favor of that either. But most of the stuff, I thought he was going to be 100 times more chaotic and terrible than he turned out to be. In a lot of ways,
I have to agree. I did think he was even
in a lot of ways, he's like a standard issue. It's not that different from a Marco Rubio administration. He just tweets crazy shit half the time. It's like Marco Rubio tweets crazy bullshit. It's not really all that different. Most of the policy decisions, there's one or two that are a little bit more.
He tweets world leaders. He tweets like he was tweeting the Mexican president about how Mexico is going to pay for the wall. The Mexican president tweeted him back, and he tweeted the North Korean, Kim Jong-un.
Like, and then he just tweeted against Iran. But that stuff doesn't bother me anywhere near as much as I thought it would. Once I got used to it, I was just like, whatever. Trump did something crazy. I don't care. I thought he was going to be a lot more. I thought he was going to be a lot more, not radical, but. I don't know. I really bought into the darkest possible interpretations of him when he was running. And then when he became president, I kind of realized that, it wasn't going to be anywhere near as bad as I thought.
It'll be interesting to see if he gets reelected, because I think I read he has
I'm betting he does.
He's only got a 45% approval rating, so.
Yeah, but he only had a 39% when he won. As I game it out now, I say that he's almost a lock. Because if you remember it then, he looked like, the reason why everybody thought Hillary was a shoo-in to win was because if you were actually paying attention, it looked almost 100% certain that she would win. His campaign was like falling apart half the time. It was like totally... But he was doing some things that people weren't noticing that he's doing even better now in terms of, he's a much better politician than people give him credit for, just in terms of pure politics. He knows what he's doing. In terms of political instinct, he knows exactly what he's doing.
Oh, he was tapping into the Rust Belt and tapping into the coal miners. He knew the buttons to push.
Right, and he still does. And he's going to have $2 billion in the bank. Back then, he had no money. He's going to have almost lockstep support of the Republican Party. Back then, half of them hated him. It's going to be a lot harder to beat now than then.
Yeah.
That's how I perceive it. I don't know. It'll be really interesting who they run. It depends on who they run. Because if the person that they pick becomes, I hate Trump more than anybody because he's the most sexist, racist person you ever met in your life, they'll lose. Because I'm already sick of that. Most people are already starting to tune that out. That's how I perceive it.
They need somebody, they need somebody who's kind of a moderate Democrat. They can't have somebody that's so far to the left like Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, it would not have, it's just not going to, we're not a socialist country. This is not going to work for us. So that's Bernie the thing. You have to tap into the people who favor capitalism and innovation and creativity and entrepreneurship.
Right, but that's part of why I give him the favorite to win, because there's going to be a war between the corporatist Democrats. There already is between the Justice Democrats, which are the Bernie Sanders and the Ocasio-Cortez Democrats, and the centrist establishment, what they call the corporate Democrats.
That's what they need. We need a corporate Democrat in office. Well, John Kasich, I think if I read this right, he left the Republican Party, I think. That's what I heard. And I liked him. He's actually the only Republican I liked.
He has a reason. He would, if they run somebody, there are a couple of people who have a reasonably good chance of beating Trump. But the problem is the corporate Democrat will probably win because they still own the media. The media is going to be 100% behind whoever whether it's Andrew Cuomo or, whichever centrist Democrat is the mainstream choice. The media will be 100% behind them. But the grassroots people are going to be in love with whoever the left is. It'll probably be Sanders. And that's going to create a problem just like it did last time. It's going to create that rift is not getting smaller, it's getting bigger.
The problem with Sanders is he doesn't, my mom went and actually volunteered for Sanders. She sat in the call center and was calling people. My parents both were huge, they're definitely left people, and they definitely are kind of in favor of socialism. But to me, that's just, it's not going to work for this country. We've built our backbone is on capitalism.
Right.
And so
it's totally
Sanders is against, he's kind of like Trump with free trade. And I don't think Sanders gets international trade. So I think that's a bit of a problem.
I don't see Sanders as realistically winning, but he's got such a strong base that part of the Democratic Party has gained strength. That's the problem for the Democrats, as far as I see it.
Yeah.
They're stronger now than they were then. And he almost beat Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, he did. I wonder if he would have had a better chance beating Trump. I wonder. You never know.
Oh, God, it's really hard to play those games, but...
I would have voted for him over Trump, for sure. I vote for anybody over Trump. I just did not want Trump to win. So...
It's hard to see. It would have been very different, because the one thing that Bernie Sanders had on his side is that because he wasn't the nominee and everybody knew it was going to be Hillary Clinton, there hasn't been all the opposition research unloaded against him like there has for Hillary. We know every single negative thing about Hillary Clinton going back 15, 20 years. I know every negative ever said about her. Bernie Sanders, there's a lot of things about Bernie Sanders that people don't know yet. He honeymooned in Moscow. You think that'd come out in a
campaign? Did he really? I didn't know that.
I told you. There's a lot of weird stuff like that. Yeah, there's a lot of really, really weird things about Bernie Sanders that nobody knows because he wasn't the front runner and he wasn't the nominee, and so nobody bothered to, go full throttle, making sure that everybody knows it. So I don't know if he can survive when it starts to become known.
Did you watch those SNL videos with Trump and Sanders?
No, which ones were? I thought I saw all of them. Which ones were those?
Oh, they're not recent. It was when the debates were going on, and there was a
when they actually
Larry David was playing Sanders, and Alan, what was his name? Alex something was playing Trump. Really, really funny.
What's his face? Alec Baldwin.
There was one about why did the chicken? Did you see the one with the chicken crossing the road?
Probably. I don't remember it offhand.
Why did the chicken cross the road? And Bernie's like, the chicken went to protest. The chicken coops are just in disrepair.
Yes, I do remember that with Larry David.
So
my wife swears by that show. Have you ever watched it? She swears by it. I think it's Curb Your Enthusiasm.
SNL or?
No, Curb Your Enthusiasm, the Larry David show.
No, I haven't seen that.
That dude. He used to write for Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah, no, I know who Larry David is, but I haven't seen that show.
No, he had a show on HBO, and my wife insists is brilliant.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Seinfeld was brilliant. I love Seinfeld.
I was more a Cheers fan, but I
like Cheers too. I like Cheers.
Cheers, I loved.
Yeah, that was from college a while ago.
Yeah, I'd go in the student center, campus center of my college, and I'd watch 5 o'clock. They'd have 2 episodes of Cheers, and I'd watch it with a whole bunch of people from, everybody would do it at the same time every day. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. I definitely liked watching that. So, well, we should probably tie up here pretty soon. What do you think?
I was just about to say that. So we should wrap it up. This was a very successful first broadcast. Do we have an audience? I don't even think anyone watched.
There were a couple people who got on. I think it says 2 watching right now. So thank you, whoever came to watch us.
Somebody watching? That's probably us. No,
No, it's not. I'm telling you. No, because I watched it, went down to 1 viewer, and then a couple of times it was up to 3 viewers.
Oh, cool. 3 viewers. Awesome. If anybody watching now wants to pay me $75 to rebut Stephanie's blogs, $75, I'll do it. I'll take her down. I'll expose her, as it
awesome.
were. $75.
Do
That's
it.
all. That's all.
You're kind of cheap.
Yeah, it's all cost. I'm gonna buy a new laptop. Wait, how much is it? How much did you say a tablet was? $89.99, and I'll take Stephanie down. That's it. Is that what you said they were? $89.99. I will take her out. I'll tell you.
But I'm gonna ask Godless Cranium if I can add you to that on the 8th. That'd be great.
Yeah, wait till after I have him. I think he's my first guest. I think he agreed to become my first atheist
yeah,
victim.
I'll wait. Victim.
My first atheist takedown.
Yeah, that's great. I think good. All right. So I'll stop.
All right, Stephanie.
Okay, you ready to go? I'm stopping it now.
Yeah, you can stop it.